All right, diving in today, we're tackling writing and publishing a book. We've got some great material to work with, even some audio clips from Brian Tracy's program, which is awesome.
Yeah, should be really interesting to get into.
Definitely. So if you're listening and you're ready to go from like blank page to published author, we are here to help you do it.
Absolutely. And, it's so exciting because I can already tell that our listeners are super ambitious just by them tuning in. And I think, this deep dive is going to give them the insights they need to make that dream a reality.
Love it. So let's unpack this, right? So Brian Tracy is a big believer in starting strong, and for him that means a killer book proposal. It's not just like paperwork, it's your book's first impression, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's almost like a business plan for your book.
Totally.
And a good one, a really solid proposal, it's going to answer those critical questions that a publisher is going to have. Like, what's this book about? What makes it unique? Who's going to read it? And then, I think maybe most importantly, why are you the one to write it?
Yes. Why you? Out of all the people in the world, why are you the right person to write this book?
Exactly.
Tracy actually wrote 21 chapters for one of his proposals.
Wow.
And he also says to think big when it comes to your audience. Aim for at least 1 million potential readers, which
1 million?
I know it sounds like a lot,
Yeah.
but it makes sense when you think about it from the publisher's perspective. They're looking for books that will resonate with a wide audience.
Exactly.
And they want to be sure, or at least feel confident, that their investment in your book is going to, pay off. So the bigger the potential market, the better.
For sure.
Okay, so you got your proposal, you've got your million reader market, now you're actually writing the manuscript. So Brian Tracy has this great term. He talks about crackerjack books, right?
I love that. Crackerjack books.
What do you think he means by that?
Well, what's fascinating about that idea to me is that it's not just about being entertaining, which of course is important, but he's really advocating for books that are super clear, concise, and easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually even suggests using subheadings every few paragraphs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, just to kind of break up the text and to keep those readers engaged.
Yeah.
Think about how people read online now. They scan, they skim, they want to get information quickly. And so you almost want to design your book to have that same accessible feel.
Yeah, it's almost like designing a website, for your ideas.
Totally.
It's got to be like visually appealing and easy to navigate. But of course, you have to back up everything you say with solid proof.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, those fact checkers, they can be ruthless.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy actually even tells this funny story about a fact checker who questioned a statistic he'd used. And the irony, the statistic came from the publisher's own magazine.
Oh, no way.
Right.
But, it just highlights, I think, a bigger point, which is that it's about more than just getting your facts right. It's about building credibility and trust with your reader,
Yeah, absolutely.
So being accurate is obviously super important.
Right.
But you also want to make sure that your sources are legit and, that you're presenting information in a way that makes sense and is easy for people to understand.
Totally. Okay, speaking of potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
let's talk about the book contract. Tracy advises authors to read every single line carefully, especially when it comes to electronic and international rights.
Oh, yes. The contract.
Right.
It can be a bit of a headache sometimes.
It can.
But it's so important to understand everything that you're signing. Tracy actually had to fight for his electronic rights at one point, and it was a really valuable lesson for him. Like, protecting your copyright is crucial.
Yeah.
Think of it like protecting your child. You want to make sure that your work is being used fairly and that, you're getting what you deserve. Totally. He also stresses that all agreements and changes should be in writing. Like, no handshake deals here.
Right. Exactly. When it comes to contracts, clarity and documentation are key.
Oh.
You don't want any misunderstandings or disputes down the line.
Okay, so you've navigated the proposal, written the manuscript, tackled the contract. Now comes the question of publishing. What if you decide traditional publishing isn't right for you? Well, self-publishing is becoming increasingly popular.
Yeah, it's definitely a viable option these days. And you know what I think is really appealing about it? Is it gives you so much more control over your book.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're calling the shots when it comes to things like editing and cover design and marketing, even distribution.
Yeah, it's like you are starting your own little mini publishing company.
Exactly.
But I think for some authors, that level of control, that's worth it.
Absolutely. And it can be especially appealing, I think, if you're writing in a more niche genre or if you have a strong platform that you can leverage to like reach your audience.
Totally. And the barrier to entry is just, I mean, so much lower now with platforms like Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, right? I mean, you can literally upload your book and it's like on sale within a day.
Oh, it's amazing. The digital age has really like revolutionized the publishing industry. Just opening up all these new possibilities for authors who might not have been able to get their work out there traditionally.
Yeah, think about James Redfield, the author of The Celestine Prophecy. He initially self-published, and then after the book gained all this popularity, he landed a traditional publishing deal.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that self-publishing doesn't have to be like a dead end.
Right.
It can be a stepping stone to a traditional deal, or it can be a really fulfilling path in its own right, It really depends on your goals and what you want to achieve with your book.
Yeah, I love that it's about like choosing the path that aligns best with your vision, and also with your resources, like what do you have access to?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if you do decide to go down the self-publishing route, Brian Tracy highly recommends Dan Poynter's self-publishing manual. He calls Poynter like a pioneer in the field.
Oh, for sure. And, Pointer's book, it's been like the go-to resource for self-published authors for decades now. I mean, it's packed with practical advice,
Yeah.
covering everything from formatting your manuscript to like effectively marketing your book.
It's like having a mentor in your corner.
Totally, like guiding you through the whole process.
Yeah, so nice. But whether you choose traditional publishing or self-publishing, one thing remains constant. Perseverance is key.
It's so true.
Remember the story of Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Oh, yeah. That's a story that really highlights the power of persistence for sure.
It does. I mean, Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, they faced 144 rejections before finally finding a publisher for their book.
144s.
I know. Can you even imagine being rejected that many times and still, like, believing in your work?
Yeah. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It makes you realize that success isn't always about, just talent or even a brilliant idea.
It's true.
Sometimes it's just about refusing to give up.
Yes. Like not taking no for an answer.
Exactly.
And that actually brings us to Brian Tracy's own journey, right? And his insights on success.
Yeah, he's such an inspiration.
I know. I mean, the guy didn't even finish high school, but he went on to become like this super successful author, speaker, and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He credits his success in part to like a relentless pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah. He's a firm believer in the idea that successful people simply know more, which, he's not just talking about formal education here.
Right.
He's talking about constantly seeking out new information.
Yeah.
Always upgrading your skills.
Yeah, I love that.
And he often talks about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Which basically suggests that 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts.
That's a good one.
So applied to like personal development, it means, really focusing on those key skills and those areas of knowledge that are going to have the biggest impact on your success.
So in the context of like writing and publishing a book, maybe that means mastering the art of like crafting a compelling story.
Yes.
Or maybe it means learning, the ins and outs of book marketing.
Totally. It's all about like identifying those high leverage activities
Yeah.
and investing your time and energy wisely.
Smart.
So you're not just spinning your wheels.
Exactly. Now, Tracy also talks about the importance of viewing your earning ability as your most valuable asset.
Yeah, it's true.
And he has this really interesting concept called the EV ratio, which stands for entertainment versus education.
Oh, yeah. I've heard him talk about that.
Most people, right, they spend way more time consuming entertainment than they do investing in their education.
Unfortunately.
I know. But he makes this point that even dedicating just 1% of your day, which is about 14 minutes,
Wow.
to learning a new skill can have a significant impact over time.
Yeah.
It all adds up.
It's the compound effect.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads us to iLearning Global, this platform that Tracy champions for its what he calls revolutionary approach to learning.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible resource.
It is. He compares it to like a health club for the mind.
I love that.
You pay a monthly subscription and then you get access to this wealth of knowledge and skills training.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like iLearning Global really takes the guesswork out of like where to focus your energy. They've curated this collection of experts and practical skills. It's almost like a shortcut to success in a way.
Yeah, and it speaks to this bigger shift that we're seeing in how people learn. It's
Mhm.
moving away from that traditional model of education where you go to school for years and then you're supposedly done.
Right, like you've learned everything you'll ever need.
Exactly. But, now it's all about continuous learning, constantly adapting to new information and skills throughout your life.
Yeah, it's almost like the 21st century version of a Renaissance person. You're not defined by one area of expertise, you're constantly evolving and growing.
I love that. And, that's really, I think, the core message that Brian Tracy keeps coming back to. It's this idea that the most valuable asset you have is your ability to earn. And that's directly tied to what you know and what you can do.
So true. So investing in yourself and your knowledge and your skills is the best way to like secure your future. It's more valuable than any stock or real estate.
Absolutely. It's like compound interest for your brain. The more you learn, the more you can earn, and the more opportunities just open up for you. It's a really powerful cycle.
So thinking about everything we've covered today, what stands out to you as like the most important takeaway for someone who wants to write and publish a book?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think it boils down to this. Writing and publishing a book is achievable,
Yeah.
but it requires this combination of preparation, skill, and persistence. And I think, Brian Tracy's insights on the book proposal, of the writing process, even navigating like the publishing world are just invaluable.
He's basically giving you a roadmap for success based on his own decades of experience, right? But he also reminds you that, you're not alone on this journey. There are resources available, like iLearning Global, Dan Pointer's book, to guide and support you along the way.
Yeah, and maybe the most important message of all is that your journey doesn't end with a published book. It's just one step on a larger path of continuous learning and growth.
So well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought to consider. What's one skill you could learn right now that would significantly boost your earning potential or, maybe propel you toward your goals? It could be something directly related to writing and publishing or something completely different, just something to think about.
Yeah, keep that question in mind as you move forward. Embrace the power of learning, and don't be afraid to invest in yourself. The rewards are limitless.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you the insights and the inspiration to take that next step on your journey. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep writing.